Why didn't Voldemort create new Horcruxes? This question haunts fans. He craved immortality, tore his soul apart and built the perfect defense system. But when his Horcruxes started getting destroyed, why didn't he make new ones? He had the opportunity. Or did he? Creating a Horcrux isn't just a spell. It requires murder and a complex ritual. Perhaps it demanded specific conditions, rare knowledge. Voldemort had little time left. He couldn't just create a new Horcrux whenever he wanted. Overconfidence played a role as well. Voldemort saw himself as invincible. Even after the diary was destroyed, he didn't take it seriously. He believed no one could eliminate all his Horcruxes. By the time he realized his mistake, it was too late. Or maybe he simply couldn't. Voldemort's soul was unstable. He himself admitted that every split weakened him. Another fragmentation might have killed him. By the final battle, he relied on an artificial body. A new Horcrux could have been his end, rather than his salvation. There's another detail. Horcruxes didn't just protect him, they tied him to the world, but Voldemort couldn't control them. If a new Horcrux fell into the wrong hands, it would have been a weakness, not an advantage. But even knowing he was dying, why didn't he try? The answer may lie not in magical logic, but in narrative logic. Rowling created a powerful villain, but he needed to lose. If he could have made another Horcrux, the story wouldn't have reached its climax. But imagine if he had made a new Horcrux. What object would he have chosen? Whom would he have killed? Or did he simply not dare? Perhaps he feared not death, but what would happen to his soul if he tore it apart once more? What do you think? Why didn't he create a new Horcrux? What if Voldemort did consider creating a new Horcrux, but realized it wasn't the answer? First, his circumstances had changed drastically. When he created his first Horcruxes, he had time, resources, and loyal followers. He operated from the shadows, carefully planning and selecting the perfect objects. But after his resurrection, the situation was completely different. The Order of the Phoenix knew about his return. Harry Potter and Dumbledore openly opposed him, and his Horcruxes began disappearing one by one. But most importantly, fear. This may sound paradoxical since Voldemort despised weakness and considered himself above fear, yet deep down he was panicking. He was attached to his physical body. He remembered what it was like to lose it, to wander as a bodiless spirit. If he tried to create another Horcrux, it could lead to consequences even he couldn't predict. What if his soul could no longer withstand another split? What if it finally shattered beyond repair, destroying his very essence? Moreover, the process of creating a Horcrux may have been far more complex than it seemed. The books don't provide a detailed description of the ritual, but there are hints that it wasn't just a matter of murder and a spell. It was magic requiring immense power and possibly even special conditions. Perhaps to create new Horcruxes, he needed extensive preparation, rare artifacts or sacrifices that weren't just random victims, but people of significance. There's another key factor. When Voldemort realized his Horcruxes were being destroyed, he didn't just feel fear, he was enraged. He hated admitting mistakes, and making new Horcruxes would have been an acknowledgement that his system of protection was flawed. He refused to retreat, to alter his plan, to admit that someone had outsmarted him. His anger and arrogance prevented him from changing course. Until the very end, he clung to the belief that he could kill Potter and preserve what remained of his fragmented soul. But even if he had decided to create a new Horcrux, where would he have found an object for it? He always chose artifacts with history, items connected to Hogwarts. He had no time to search for something like that. And if he used an ordinary object, Could he trust it the same way he trusted the diadem or the locket? Or would it create a new vulnerability? Voldemort's greatest mistake wasn't just miscalculating, it was a flaw in his own logic. He built his immortality on the fragmentation of his soul, but never realized he was making himself weaker in the process. Each new Horcrux made him less human, less capable of understanding fear, emotions, and the minds of others. He underestimated the magic of love, friendship, and sacrifice, the very forces that allowed Harry and his allies to succeed. In the end, the question remains open. If Voldemort had tried to create one more Horcrux, could he have won? Or would it have led to an even more agonizing demise? Or perhaps his greatest mistake wasn't failing to make another Horcrux, but deciding to make them in the first place.